Zen Perry Project. Today on the show, we have Howling Giants. We got Tom, we got Zach, we got Sebastian. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where are all of you guys individually right now?
We're all in Nashville.
Okay.
Just at our homes, really. Just snowed in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
we
man.
got a lot of snow in town, man. We're everybody's kind of hunkered down in the bunker. So yeah, we're all just enjoying a snow day.
Hell yeah, it's my first snow day in New York. You guys probably got more snow than us, but
Dude, we got a lot actually, and that's not normal for Nashville, but it's been wild. It's always crazy watching the city like shut down when you get a little bit of snow.
Well, they'll shut down around like 1 inch of snow. We got around 7 or 8, so like it is.
My
nothing's happening.
dad was down visiting from Minnesota, and he was like, "Man, props! Like this is real snow." He's like, "I like to throw shade on you, but like this is legit."
how did you all get to Nashville? So you're from Minnesota originally. Is that how did you all get to Nashville? How did this all happen?
Well, me and Zach went to college together in Boston, and I think a bunch of our friends from college were just like, "Man, what are we gonna do after we graduate?" So we all just decided, like, Nashville is a cool, kind of happening spot, way more affordable than LA or New York, So it was a good hub, good spot for music. And then Seabass, you were kind of on your own adventure, huh?
Yeah, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I came down here in 2011 to go to school, and then just ended up staying here because the music scene is so wide and diverse. So if you really want to, shot at something in the music industry, Nashville is the place to be. So yeah, and then I just ended up by happenstance meeting these guys, and now we're here.
Not really by happenstance. We were looking for a bass player. We heard about you, and we reached out and said Seabass.
It was happenstance from me meeting you, Tom. So it was.
I orchestrated the whole thing.
Oh Lord.
That's adorable. So you guys, I guess this was something that was meant to happen. You guys were just gonna be in Nashville. It's a great scene for rock. Like I went to school in LA for music, but all the good like rock drummers because like they're all in Nashville. That's where you get jobs. That's where it's happening. And
everyone moved. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I still have yet to go. And I've been to New Orleans a million times. I heard it's a very similar, like you can walk down the street and just see music out everywhere, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, not exactly like New Orleans, like downtown is like, the big cover scene. I did some of that in the early days, like, the 4-hour cover gig sort of shows. And quickly realized that was not what I wanted to do for music, because it's a lot of like hired gun, like, shopping around. But for a tourist, it's really cool to go down there and just bar after bar after bar. There's a different band on, That's not where we play. We play the crappy dive bars outside of town. But it is really cool to see
the historic
everything.
dive bars.
Well,
yes,
crappy historic. There's still a hole in the roof that was raining inside when we would play shows. So
they fixed it.
They did
fix the hole.
They fixed it.
It's good now.
All of them.
Yeah, Nashville's cool. It's definitely, you got to be kind of in the mood to like bar hop in like a crazy downtown touristy sort of way. Like, I like it. It works for us. It's a very utilitarian place for us to be. We're close by. It's located in a good place for touring. Maybe I'm just jaded because I've been here for a while, but I'm like, New Orleans is super fun. I thought that was sweet. I think Nashville is just so geared towards like out of town tourists that it's just like it's its own beast, man.
Yeah, we've watched it change the past 10 years that we've been here, because kind of when we came down was one of the big pushes. When a lot of people started moving here from LA and New York, everyone realized it was cheaper. And like for what they were getting an apartment in New York or LA, they were getting an entire house to themselves with like 2 acres of land out just, pretty close by. So like you said, a lot of rock drummers have moved down. It's like I worked at a drum shop for a few years here, and just it's insane who would come through. Like Ray from Korn moved here with the whole band, and and like all sorts of rock and metal guys ended up here. So
He's sick. I've met him. He's a true sweetheart.
so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. And okay, so if I landed there on a Wednesday afternoon, and you guys can fight amongst yourselves with this, and I wanted to see shows and see all the good like underground music or just like up and coming rock and roll people, what are the venues I have to hit Wednesday night and then through the weekends when stuff starts to get crazier?
I think you should look up to see what's happening at the 5 spot in East Nashville is a good spot.
Yeah. The Basement East.
Basement East. Yeah.
Basement East is awesome, or maybe even the original Basement would be cool too, because they have like smaller kind of intimate shows, but they still do like, really cool heavy shows down there, even though it's a smaller room. I feel like since you're like not from here, you should go to Broadway to like see what's going on, but you're just gonna see kind of top 40 country being performed in like 4-hour blocks.
Yeah.
It's kind of
With
cool.
a lot of drunk people.
A lot of drunk people, and it's okay if you're one of them. It's probably better if you are one of them. But
Yeah.
Cheers.
there you go. Cheers. I think if you wanted to see like what the locals in Nashville are doing, though, you would probably go to East Nashville and find a venue.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to blow it up too much, so that's I won't do that for you guys.
Don't blow it up. Don't blow it up.
Because I know you guys are a bit protective about like maybe your barbecue places there. What's your favorite food spots that you might want to recommend to me if I was traveling around Nashville to go check out?
Oh, damn.
One for sure is Prince's Hot Chicken.
Yeah.
The hot chicken places are abundant around here, and there are a few that are, like chain stuff that are okay, not as good, but Prince's is like the OG hot chicken spot. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's really good.
Hell yeah. Any other recommendations?
Man.
I really like 210 Jack, which is a ramen spot. 210 Jack or Otaku Ramen. Both of those are fantastic.
Otaku is amazing. Yeah.
I like Otaku. I think because Otaku's located in the Gulch, it feels a little more, it's really good, but it is a little more tourist driven. Whereas 210 Jack, when I've been, I'm like, I think 210 Jack might be better, even though I really like Otaku.
Let's also talk the real reason is you can find parking at around 210 Jack, and it's impossible to find parking at Otaku. So.
But Otaku has those like, they do like a hot chicken
bao.
Like little, bao.
Yeah.
So the little bun appetizer thing, but it's just got a hot chicken tender on there. And it's like, yeah dude, that's the fusion I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, guys. I appreciate that. Especially for this wintry day. Thinking about some ramen right now sounds pretty delicious.
Oh, yes.
Better than my dinner, which was cinnamon toast crunch. So
that's legit though.
And nothing wrong with that.
It's nostalgic. You just feel like when you're an adult, you can just do this, even though I'm like pushing 30. So fuck it.
I mean, hey, this is my dinner right now. So
cheers to that. It's gonna be cheers. All right. I wanted to get right into this. You guys just put out a vinyl that has a bunch of oil in it, and it has a floating dragon inside of a LP. Bandcamp Day is on February 2nd. What is Bandcamp Day? And how do we get this vinyl? And how did this whole thing come about?
Yeah, so Plasticat Deviations. We found out about him through some friends in a band called Year of October. But this guy, I think, is from Paducah, Kentucky, and he does liquid-filled vinyl. And he's had labels like just beating down the door trying to purchase his process from him. And he's refused large sums of money, and he just does it all himself. And he has a special seal that is super secret, I get. And the combination of like oils and stuff that he uses to stay around, also secret. But it's supposed to last quite a long time because some people do liquid filled and eventually a seam will split. You lose the whatever inside. But yeah, Plasticat, met him as soon as we had the record coming out. We were like, well, we have to do a run of these. And yeah, Bandcamp Friday is where Bandcamp waives their revenue share. So we try to sell most merch on days like that because we can keep 100%. of profit on any merch, which is quite convenient for a band trying to pay the bills. And yeah, so we had 20 made, and we'll drop them probably early morning. And the last run of these that we did with our last record sold out in under a minute. So,
Walter, how did you guys get to the top of his list? How did, like, because backlog, you know?
He does have a backlog. We knew the record. When did we turn in the masters? Probably like March of last year. So basically, as soon as we turned in the masters, the record came out in October. I hit him up, and it wasn't until a couple weeks ago that we got ours. So we waited almost a year to get them. So it just took some planning.
By the way, the album is incredible. Like,
Thank you.
Did such a good job on
Thank you
it.
very much.
I just, how did this like come about? What was what the departure from your last album? Like, what was something you were looking forward to get into with Glass Future?
This one came together, I think, in a cool way. We tried to do something different with this one, in that we didn't want to do a concept record, whereas the past one we were like, there has to be a story. This has to be like a complete conceptual works. And so Glass Future started out as an effort to like not be that. Everything be its own kind of standalone song. I think that as we went over time, though, they really kind of took on similar themes, where I'm like, I think we unintentionally kind of wrote a concept record with Glass Future, you know? We
overwrote too. So
yeah, every song on this one, I feel like kind of we had this almost like apocalypse theme, I guess, which maybe was a result of the times we're living in. But it was like we wanted a fantasy angle. We wanted the kind of fictional, larger than life, you know, maybe just leading up to an apocalypse event, or like a couple songs are like just post. But yeah, like you were saying, Zach, you know, we wrote a ton and then had more than enough to work with, and we kind of whittled it down to what we felt like was our strongest work. Whereas the past record, it was just like, we wrote these songs. They're all going on the record. That's it.
Yeah.
This one's like, we wrote like 18 or something, and, you know.
Yeah. And to kind of expand on that too, we definitely gave ourselves more time in the writing process this time around, rather than last time. You know, I kind of joined halfway in between the writing process for Space Between Worlds. So what I felt, I mean, obviously very proud of that record, but that writing process was, you know, it felt very quick and very just like, we have to get these songs done. They're going to be on the record. Like Tom said, this we kind of gave ourselves a little bit more space and time to actually sit down and be like, okay, here's what do we want to do, you know? And I think ultimately that really helped. Like they said, we overwrote and did all those 18 something songs, and having that kind of relaxation into writing, I think kind of translates into the album a little bit too.
It let us be like pickier about what made it. You know, we having more songs to work with than we needed, like, you know, we could make sure we were really happy about everything that went on the record. And some of them just came from jams, man. Like, that was really cool too. Rather than sitting down to like craft a song, we've been doing Twitch streaming, and we would just like jam for people watching on the internet, you know? And a few of those were like really awesome, where, you know, we just went back and looked at them later and we're like, that's sick. That's a riff. Like, let's turn that into a real thing.
Where do you guys record? Like, how often are you guys actually getting together and actually making music? Because this is, I actually have a wildly different answers for this for every band that I interview.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we try to get together at least twice a week. And then usually when we're working on something, you know, like right now we're working on new music and get kind of prepping for some studio time like next week. So sometimes we'll cut down the practices per week and spend like individual practice time working on stuff that we want to workshop, or like not everything is always I have a rehearsal space at my house, so not everything is rehearsal all the time. Sometimes we'll just go sit down at somebody's house just behind a desk and kind of, you know, plug into GarageBand or something and chart stuff out. It just kind of depends on what phase we're in. And then there's, of course, like, okay, prepping for a tour. Like February, we're prepping to kind of go out in March and April. So we're going to be running tunes that already happen, like exist and stuff like that. So it's just kind of that back and forth. But yeah, at least twice a week, usually. Hopefully more if we can swing it.
Well, thanks for fitting us in as part of your schedule, because like I know
this
you're
is
doing a lot right now.
this is good. This is a break for me from I've been trying to learn this solo from a song we wrote forever ago, Earth Wizard, and it's like way harder than I remember it being. I'm like, fuck. I'm like trying to learn it. I'm like, dude, I can't I
You can
can't
do
do
it,
it anymore.
Tom.
I'm like, fuck. So I've been just like trying to like shred that today. I'm like, you know what? It's time for the interview. Gotta set it down. Take a break.
How did this happen? Like, where do you actually, I guess, record the first version of this solo?
Well, that was part 2, which we actually recorded at a studio in town.
Yeah.
County Q, right? Is that the name of the place?
County Q. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, part 2.
A lot of the guitars for that record, though, we just tracked at your old house in a practice room we built. I
Yeah.
remember going in with Kim, your wife / our sound engineer, mixing engineer, and just trying to get that take. And I was like, I remember it being difficult at the time, and I'm reminded that it is difficult now as well.
Well, it's a reminder of the old recording process, what we used to do. It's like, so the first EP we ever did, my wife brought just a 8-channel interface, and we set up the computer rig on Tom's bed, and then I was squished in the corner of Tom's room, and our old bass player Roger and Tom just kind of got in there. So we tracked that EP in Tom's bedroom. And then like the Black Hole Space Wizard Part 1, they reached out to us. Converse Rubber Tracks was giving away studio time in Boston. We went up to a studio for
So,
3
like,
days there.
Converse, the shoe company Converse, I think they were trying to rival Vans, it felt like, for kind of controlling or having an influence on the music scene. Because Vans really does have like this kind of,
They've got the rock. Yeah.
they're in the skate, but they're also in the rock culture. And it's like, yes, Chuck Taylors are worn live, but they were like, we need to do more. So Converse built a studio in Boston. They reached out to a ton of bands to say, hey, here's free recording time. And it felt not super well organized, but somehow they found us and we were offered the gigs. We were like, all right, cool, man. So we went for like a couple days,
Right.
recorded up in Boston.
And then, yeah, pretty much the Part 2 EP was in County Q in town. And then when we did Space Between Worlds, that was all in my basement that Tom and I built a room in the other house. And then we just kind of developed over time. There were all these like timeline, like crunch time timelines where it was really tight. So like to finally get to the point where we have the new rehearsal space with Glass Future and like taking our time with anything, just anything and everything, it's way nicer.
Well, we still recorded Glass Future all like in
At
our
the
old
old spot.
spaces.
Exactly,
At the old
yeah.
spot, and I did a bunch of guitars like at my house. So I feel like the theme is just we've always recorded with whatever is available to us, and sometimes it's a studio and sometimes it's not. And man, it would be cool someday to like really kind of seek out the perfect room and like actually record in a place that we like kind of choose. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would be really cool someday.
Not today.
It's today?
Yeah.
It's not today. It's not right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I know you guys remastered your original EP. How did that come about?
That was Blues Funeral Recordings, Jad Schickler. He wanted to put out our first, because we'd done these 3 EPs, and he wanted to put out our first full-length record, but kind of wanted to just let everybody know that it was coming and give us some vinyl for the road, because we had our first West Coast tour planned. So he was like, we'll remaster, we'll press this thing. And we did a tour around that while we were prepping the first full-length record, pretty much. So Jad is the man. He works for Blues Funeral, Magnetic Eye Records, and Ripple. So he's a little bit of everywhere.
Well,
He's the
and
king.
it's remastered, but I mean, those are the same mixes. Like
Right.
For anyone who maybe isn't familiar with like recording stuff, mastering is like the last step. You take your original mixes and the original track, and the master is kind of a, I don't know how you describe it. It's almost like a layer of compression that kind of makes everything at a certain like level.
Magic.
It's magic.
It is
It makes it
magic.
sound pretty good.
That's what every mastering engineer says, you know.
Right.
It's hard to explain, right? Because you're listening to it and you're like, all right, it's louder. When I add this on, it's like maybe it's punchier. Maybe I have less high end. Maybe I have more high end. It really is just like almost a filter, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that. But I mean, it sounds incredible. I was just curious how that whole process came about. Of like, why did you decide to do it?
It's kind of just for the label, you know? It's like at the end of the day, what people own are like the master. It's like that's the final product, you know, whatever the track is that's been put through that filter, that is the master. That's what's like marketed. So by remastering it, we were able to like put it on Blues Funeral. We were able to press records. We were able to kind of push it and give it a new life, kind of.
Oh, yeah. You guys seem extremely savvy with marketing. Like I have to say.
Oh yeah.
You're doing Twitch streams. You have a video game, which we're gonna do after this. We have a bunch of dudes roaming around this house. We're gonna see who can get the highest score on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
On your game. And then I was kind of like searching around your Facebook today. It seems like you have coffee. Am I mistaken? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Coffee and hot sauce, and yeah, it's really whenever we go on tour, you just have a little general store set up in the back, whatever you need.
And you just kind of like see other people's merch table as you tour, and you're like, that's dope. We got to get that. So like, are we good at marketing? I don't know if we're so much good at marketing as like, we're just like, this is dope. Let's just do it. And I feel like if we think it's cool, it means there must be some market for it, you know?
It's just a more fun way to go about it in general, but it's also your fans are voracious. We actually did ask. We went on to Reddit and we asked some questions, and they have a lot of questions for all of you guys.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
A lot about you. Like, it's pretty wild. Yeah. But we had to sift through quite a few, but we'll pepper some in throughout our evening together.
Totally.
Do it.
I guess a big thing that people are always asking about guitar pedals. So why don't you guys just do that? Where does the tone come from? Guitar. We have a guitarist and bassist here. Let's get this. Let's get this out of the way. Like what makes the Howling Giant sound? Whatever you're willing to say, because sometimes people don't want to.
The tone comes from the fingers.
I feel like that's so lame, but that might be true. It might be true. Because, dude, I feel like it's always something new. I will say, like, new gear inspires me to write new stuff. I wish I could say I had the same, like, rig all the years. And I was like, there's one special guitar. And, like, I have the perfect amp. And with this pedal, it becomes, like, amazing. But no, it's like, it's kind of different every time, you know? So I think it's just whatever your ear takes you to, and then that's what the thing is.
Yeah, Tom did a rig rundown a few years back.
Way different than what I'm running now.
So different.
Every single piece is different.
Yeah.
I could tell you per record almost would be easier to be like, this is what I used on this record. Like Glass Future was a Rocker Verb 100 Mark III, and that was with that white guitar in the back, which is like a baritone custom build from a luthier buddy of mine in town. So it was that guitar with the orange Rocker Verb combo, and then like various drive pedals, and the Echo Rec Cattle and Bread delay is like kind of always on that record. So that was Glass Future. Space Between Worlds was like the Plexi with the Earthquaker Devices hoof, like a fuzz kind of cranked through that old Marshall. And then I think this guitar or a different Les Paul, I think was that one. Can't remember.
What about you, Sebastian? What's your rig looking like? What are you rocking?
Right now, well, so I come from my dad's a bass player, and the way he kind of taught me was that he didn't really use many pedals or many effects or anything, and so I kind of come from a different standpoint where I'm like very almost minimalist, but I think that's fine with bass playing because there's so many bass players out there that just go, they get 10,000 pedals and everything, and it's just too much. I pretty much just have a Sandberg, California, that that I run through a dark glass. What's the name of that pedal, Tom?
You got the vintage micro tubes.
The
So
vintage
it's
micro
a
tubes.
dark glass
Yes.
preamp pedal. That
Yes.
kind of sends 2 signals in, which is really nice. One's like a clean, fat bass tone, layered
Yep.
in parallel, I think, with like a really nice drive. So
Yeah.
it's
So
cool.
it just brings up it just has this like punchiness to it that's really nice, but also is not overly done and it's not over, distorted. Run that through a Phase 90 and then into a Warwick LWA 1000 amp. That's a solid state bass amp that's just like killer, and I can lift it with pretty much one finger. So that's the important part.
I love that. I feel like it's like just like old versus new when you try to pick up somebody's, old vintage amp and it takes like 2 guys. Or just,
Well, I did the 810 and the SVT for a while, and I've scaled back down to a 215 cab now, but I mean that 810 and the SVT they just sounded so awesome, but they were so incredibly heavy every time we were bringing them somewhere. It's just like it's just insane,
We
So
were kind
after
of maximalist with our gear for a while there. You were the
Yeah.
810 with the giant Ampeg. I was running a stereo rig where I had like an
Yeah.
orange 412 and a Mesa 412 with a PV 5150 signature and the orange rocker verb, like both in like stereo. And then Zach, you've had that same kit for
Yeah.
10 years.
Zach just plays loud.
Yeah. One of these days I'll get a second bass drum, dang it.
You should, dude.
When you guys quit taking up all the space in the back of the van.
It's probably like
wow.
when you're looking at like a kick drum, like a dual kick setup, they probably have to be the same size, right? That would probably feel super lopsided if one was like different.
I've seen some setups, yeah, but it just depends on how you play it. With the stuff that I do, I feel like they would be the same size. But
like originally, like the first double bass drum was like jazz back in like the 30s.
yeah,
Have like one big ass like 26-inch kick, and then next to like a floor tom.
right, yeah, on its
They were
side.
doing some weird shit with it. It wasn't doing. It wouldn't be Howling Giant, but maybe one day you can rock some weird ass shit like that.
That's right.
It would fit better if the band had one bass drum that wasn't the same exact size as your other.
Yeah, yeah, true.
That's awesome.
Then we can play our jazz combo set, and I can just turn off to the side and do that.
What was that one dude? Was it the old drummer for Weed Eater before Ramsey joined him? That
Yeah,
would play just totally sideways and like flipping sticks. It was so
yeah.
sick.
Before
man.
he got arrested and kicked out of the band.
Well, which one? Were they both arrested and kicked out of the
Kiko,
band?
yeah, Kiko was it.
So after Kiko, they had a different dude who was sideways. I don't think that dude was arrested, was he?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's Weed Eater, so
Wow.
We have my producer's looking it up right now. We got he's on it.
He was in a band called Artemis Pile Driver.
oh yeah,
Travis.
that guy,
Travis Owen,
Travis Owen.
2015. Keith Kirkham's first photo on Google looks like a mug shot.
Yeah,
Check it out.
that's it. That
Kiko. Yeah, I think
I don't know
I
what he
think that he's still at large, he's still out there somewhere,
roaming the wilderness of North Carolina.
I know that's not true, but I'll say it on the internet.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go looking for him later.
Yeah.
I mean, since I guess I asked all the important ones. So I guess I'll ask, what kind of drum set do you use?
Got a Tama Star Classic Birch. I love Tama. So I worked at a drum shop, like I said, for a little while here in Nashville. And that one came in and I just went straight to my boss and I was like, I need this thing. So basically one of those things where a guy bought a drum set and left it in his basement and never touched it for years. And it's this lime green that they limited that finish. They put it out. They have the limelight green sparkle and they have this hot pink sparkle.
The green sparkle. I want you to get both though, dude. Get the
Well, that's what I'm
green
saying.
and
If I
pink.
go double bass kit, I need the pink one and we'll alternate the colors.
the
down there.
watermelon.
Dude.
Yeah.
The watermelon
neon
Tama.
watermelon. Yeah.
Bro, that's what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah. Well, there you go. So now we got the rig rundown for all you guys who are listening out there that really are all into that. 'Cause, I mean, it's cool you're doing the split signal with the guitars, Tom. I mean,
Dude, I
and
can't do it anymore. It hurt. It was like fucking up my back. It sounded so good, but it was like half the van space was just like my gear. And I was like, we need more room for like shirts and shit like that, you know?
Well, and you don't have to do it anymore. We recently added a second guitarist, so
Mhm.
if Tom was taking over the stage with 2 amps again, we had James back there with one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should do it. I don't know.
Sounds
Who
good to me.
knows?
yeah,
We
why
make
not?
James carry it though. It's like
That's right,
he's got to
yeah.
pay his dues.
New guy stuff.
Yeah, just get a bus.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, quick. We're gonna do a lightning round real quick. I want you all to say the first band's name of every band that you each were in individually, and a little bit about it, just to give us a little context. Because
Other bands we've been in?
the very first band, the very first people you ever played with, not however young you were.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, for me, I'll go. It was I played in a metalcore-ish band called My Own Accord back in high school, early college days.
all right. Where was it?
awesome.
I had a band called JC Satellite back in when I lived in Pennsylvania back in my high school days, and the other three members, the bass player, the lead guitar player, and the drummer were all brothers, and I was the rhythm guitar player, and it was very much like almost AC/DC meets Foo Fighters kind of stuff.
Sick.
When I was in middle school, me and some friends started a band doing like Green Day covers and a couple Blink-182 covers. And me and the drummer wanted to be called Sinister Briefcase at the request of our friend Zach Stevie. But the lead singer didn't like that. And so we ended up being called the Gummy Bears, which was not an upgrade, but we were the Gummy Bears. So
Yeah.
that was like 6th grade punk band.
Sucked in like a beautiful kind of way, though.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, we should shout out a cover band, a short-lived cover band that Tom and I were in. We called ourselves Casual Encounters.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Casual Encounters. For any unfamiliar, it was a beautiful section on Craigslist for a while. Where if you met the potential love of your life at a grocery store, you could say, I saw you at Kroger. I was the guy wearing this thing. And it's just a weird hookup app on just outdated internet technology.
I think it still exists.
I'm sure it does.
That's how I
Yeah.
found Michael over here. So
Yeah.
Nice, dude. I saw you from across the Kroger.
I was like, we should make a podcast.
I had the moldy banana.
Really hungry.
You had the fruitcake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And once you get your multiple bass drum size, different bass drum things, maybe you guys can start playing covers again.
That's right.
That's the ultimate goal. You know, like salmon swimming upstream, we return to our origin point.
I love it. So what are you guys doing with the rest of the songs from Glass Future? Just out of curiosity, is this something you're just gonna workshop for a while, or they're just never to
Burn them, threw them away, garbage.
Yeah, forgot about them, man.
Some of them are sweet, and they will definitely be things in the future.
Yeah.
A lot of them, I think, like fragments of them were really cool. Like they'd have a great riff, and there was a feeling like the song could be better. So I think some of them will probably get like chopped a little bit, you know.
Sick.
I feel like we'll find a home for most of the stuff, though.
Yeah, one or two are on the next release that we're working on right now. But again, we reworked a few of them as is. So
Some were sweet, like so dope, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
felt weird for this record.
mhm.
Like
Yeah.
one is kind of aggressive, kind of like we have a song called Dirt Mouth, which is almost a little like, you know, hardcore E. And one song kind of has that vibe, and it's so dope, but it felt weird, in my opinion. Anywhere we put it on Glass Future, it just kind of stuck out where I'm like, you know, everything else just kind of sits together so nice, and this one's just like, you know.
Didn't fit the vibe of the record,
Yep.
you know. But it's great to have such a vault of songs and riffs like that where we can kind of just pick and choose now, and just say like, what do we want this record to sound like? You know, we want this to be kind of more heavier than the last record. So to have that availability with those songs already written, riffs already written, I should say, is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it always feels good to have more than less. Like when I was starting off in some bands, we have like 3 songs and somehow we're ending up at a show. And you're like, but yeah, it's always great to have just like a backlog of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you all sing in the band? Is that like a prerequisite for you guys?
I think it was a just necessity in the early days. You know, none of us wanted to be singers. We found ourselves in a band and we needed a singer. So I think I started doing it. And at the time, our old bass player, Roger, did the backup harmonies. And then Roger moved away, left the band. And so Zach was like, well, here I am. I'm ready to take the mantle.
Yeah.
So you stepped into your role. And then Seabass just kind of waltzed right into our lives with just the voice of an angel, songbird of a generation. And here we are.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's and you guys doing some crazy good harmonies, and it works extremely well for you. And I was curious to see because like I said, every single one of you sings, and you're all doing it live, and you're doing some crazy shit while you're doing it. So
We were forced to do this.
It's all against my will. There's someone off stage at all times, just with a loaded gun. You better fucking perform.
It's Jad. It is Jad.
It's our label. It's our label head. Great job, guys. Better not blow it tomorrow night, though. I'll be there in the side stage.
Save those voices.
well, I mean, it sounds like Tom, you just wanted some buddies to so you didn't have to. If the show sucked, you could blame it on somebody else. You're like, yeah.
I will say though, it's a very real thing where like you can sound shitty on your own, but as soon as there's a harmony, it does just sound better. Like it helps a ton. The early days we did harmonies because it was too scary being like Bear. We were like, just do the harmony, and then it's like, man, that helped a ton. Like multiple voices, it really does just sound better.
Hey, that's good to know. All right, I think everybody's gonna steal your little lick. Wow. I guess one beer.
Listen, it's a curse, man. Jad's gonna show up to your door one day. You're gonna start playing shows for Magnetic Eye Records. You're just gonna look for a way off that train, but it's moving too fast now. No brakes.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Yes, sir.
Have you guys always expected like, because you guys are doing some crazy cool tours. You're gonna be playing with the Obsessed. What else do you have coming up? Like, you have a whole tour starting in March with the Obsessed and Gozu.
Yes,
Gozu,
from Boston. Yeah. We're kind of working on. We're talking with our European booker about another run to Europe at some point this year. We don't know when yet. And then there's some stuff materializing in September, I think. Again, kind of waiting to hear back. There's just there's some markets that we're not hitting on the tour with the Obsessed. I mean, notably the West Coast stuff. Like we pretty much just hit LA and San Diego with the Obsessed. So it'd be great to go, you know, kind of hit all the way up towards Vancouver and stuff. So I think that'll be happening later this year. And
were we gonna do something in the summer? I know we were theoretically talking about like an early. It's just we don't know. I think we're in like
there's a bunch of
with a lot of people.
Right, exactly. Our name is out there with the right people, and our booker's just sorting through everything so that all the business gets done properly, because the last thing they want is for us to play Baltimore and then 2 weeks later have another show in Baltimore and then the promoter's pissed at the other promoter. So, you know, business,
business, blah, blah, blah.
We got our irons in the fire though.
Yeah.
That's great. We interviewed the Obsessed. Oh, yeah, those guys are awesome. Super sweet dudes. And we saw them at St. Vitus here in Brooklyn.
Dude, they're so nice.
Yeah, they are. Wino is awesome. He's a trip. He is a trip. Yeah. I don't think when we showed up to the show, he said that the previous night got canceled because the 5G towers were transmitting too much. And I was like, dude, I believe it. Sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right on.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where I'm like, man, I don't know if I subscribe, but like I want to hear what you got going on, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I'm trying to like be very tender, but I want to hear conspiracy is a dirty word, but tell me about your 5G towers or Wino. You know what I'm saying?
It was great. Yeah. Super lovely guys. And they ripped
Oh,
that
yeah.
night.
Dude,
They played
they're so
well.
good, and Wino is such a legend, man. Like,
Yeah.
was such a pinnacle, I feel like, for the genre we're in today. He's been around, he's been at it, and he's always been an important figure in it. So,
I saw someone describe him as the Lemmy of Stoner Doom.
dude, he is. Was
Yeah.
he in that? What were you telling me, Zach?
Oh yeah, when Dave
The
Grohl did Probot, Wino did vocals on one track, but that video with Lemmy and Dave and all the Suicide Girls, Wino's the guitarist for Shake Your Blood.
So sick, dude. And I didn't know that back in the day. Like, that's
Yeah.
such a cool, if you're in the know, but that's a cool little cameo moment.
I think
Yeah.
that
Wino.
like just shows that like what a boss he is the fact that he didn't have to say that.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Totally.
come up. That's just like another day in the life for him. He's playing with Lemmy and Dave Grohl.
It is one of those things where, like,
Crazy.
when you meet someone who's like that, I mean, his life is just like so cool and so unique. That guy has lived the kind of rock lifestyle, and not always the most glamorous version of it. Like, he was out there, in the thick of it since day one.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool talking to him, and I just do congrats on tour about it. I mean, you guys in your own right are like definitely like holding, carrying the torch for your genre of music. It's just fucking badass rock and roll. Like I don't know how to get more simple than that. And
Mhm.
it gives you everything you need. Beautiful harmonies, everything.
Hell yeah.
I guess are you guys would you guys generally say you're more optimistic people, or do you really think future is as glass as you talk about it in this album?
Could be both, man. I feel like, I mean, legitimately, I think we're in a dangerous spot, if you're asking me, just as like mankind. I mean, I think that there's a lot we could do to make things better for us. But, all we can do is, you do the best you can with what you got. And for us, what that means is we keep, playing the shows, keep writing albums to the best of our ability, making stuff that we're proud of, And
Right.
it's
I
okay to
think
have fun doing it along the way.
for sure. And that was kind of the thing we embraced doing all the Twitch streams around this lockdown,
Yeah.
where none of us had any clue what was going to happen, whether live music is going to return, but we are just trying to adapt. And I think a lot of people, a lot of our Twitch and Discord community, just we helped a lot of people just find something to do and find some community in a pretty hard time for everyone, So
Mhm.
we're just out here to jam.
We're just trying to jam, dude. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah,
jam.
we have these the apocalyptic themes on the record, but I think personally, and in our band setting, we ourselves are optimistic with what we're doing and where we want to go with this band. We're optimistic with our own futures. That's not to say there, obviously, what Tom said, there's a lot of shit going on in this world right now. But the best that we could do is just play our instruments and just keep going. But I think like going off what Zach said about the Twitch streams, I think that definitely helped people feel optimistic in a time where that was not really prevalent at all. So
Yeah, I completely agree. That was a rough time for everybody, and shit hasn't got particularly easier for anybody. Well, I guess I think it's the most appropriate way to say that. What's next for you guys other than this big old tour, and you're gonna be selling your album soon? You guys got any music videos coming out? What do people need to know about you?
We'll have a music video coming out towards the end of February, the last of all the music videos for Glass Future for our song Juggernaut. So that's end of February. I think the label's still working on a release date for that one. We're headed back in the studio next week. We're tracking some new material And then yeah, lots of tours later this year. Since we put out the record October 27th last year, we've got a bunch of touring to do on it. So slinging hot sauce and coffee as far as we can.
Dude, the music is just, it's a sales pitch. That's all it is. It's just a commercial. And then after the commercial, we're going to sell you that hot sauce. We're going to sell you that coffee.
That's basically the theme of the music video anyway. It's a glorified QVC commercial for our hot sauce.
There are times when I feel like we'll get done with a show and we'll be too hard on ourselves, but we'll be like, man, kind of, maybe you're beating yourself up about someone. But then you just look and you're like, man, was that good enough to sell a t-shirt? Like, I think it was. I think we played good enough to sell a t-shirt tonight. We can get someone to buy a damn t-shirt.
Anybody. Yeah. I have another question from the internet here. That I think is always a fun one to answer and is a good one. Weirdest place you guys have slept on a tour? Doesn't necessarily have to be with Howling Giant.
You probably know, Zach.
Yeah.
This one.
Homeless shelter.
The homeless shelter, man.
Yeah.
That one was tough.
Canton,
Ohio. Yeah.
Well, someone was like, we didn't know it was a homeless shelter. Someone was like, oh,
No, it was the bartender. Yeah,
the bartender was like, I got a hookup. Like, I got a crash pad. And we're like, okay, sick. And we go there and we're like, oh, yeah, it's a homeless shelter, man. I mean, it was like fine. We were grateful to have it. We were pretty quick to get out of there in the morning, I will say.
Yeah, I think I laid on that cot for about 4 hours, just awake the whole time. Our old keyboard player at the time, Marshall, we shoved him in the back corner near the radiator and the hot water heater. There's just one horrifying corner, and we were like, I'm not going there.
There's like some dude in there.
That's
just
probably why I left
around. I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
We showed up, well, we showed up there at midnight too. And
right.
We were
There's no option to leave.
Random door at midnight.
There was another time though where we stayed with some friends in Asheville, and I mean, should I tell this story? Is this like,
yeah,
we could omit certain parts. They were like, they were good friends of ours, but they were a band in Asheville, and their old bass player was this gal who was just having a hard time. I'll say she was having a hard time. She was like blackout drunk and just a problem, crying and then laughing and manic. And we're just like, things are not comfortable. There's definitely some tension in the band we didn't know about. But we try to like go to bed. Okay, we finally like go to sleep. We wake up at 6 a.m. and there she is, just sitting awake on the couch, just hammered drunk, just ripping vodka out the bottle, just watching us sleep, and just like totally incoherent. And we start kind of gathering up our stuff, thinking like, man, this is uncomfortable. We got to get out of here. And the rest of the band wakes up, and I feel like they took her aside, and they literally, like, we watched them
fire her,
kick her out of the band while we were there at their house. And we had like played a show with them the night before, and I think it was her birthday too, right? Like it was her, like it was her birthday. She was hammered, she was angry and sad, and then manically happy, and she was watching us sleep, and then she got fired, and we were like,
yeah, thanks for letting us stay.
Wish she didn't watch me all night.
Homeless shelters nearby.
Like, yeah. But man, they were super sweet people. That was just a moment in time. Just us, it sticks out.
I mean, bass players. How many times has Seabass been hammered watching people sleep? All the time.
Yeah, every night, man. Pretty much.
Hell yeah. Hey, another cheers to that.
Yeah.
All right.
That's super rad. Love that. I mean, there's always some weird stories about that, but I think you guys have probably the best answer for that I've seen. So Reddit's gonna be very pleased with you.
We've done it.
Do you guys still Twitch stream? Just
here and there.
We haven't in a while, but we will again. We're out of the regular routine, but I think the game plan, now that we've built the new space, we've done a couple streams in it, I think we're gonna try to like ramp up to some of these tours by doing a couple streamed like practices,
Yeah.
Might not be a regular thing, but might be like a, hey, we're still out here, just checking in.
I feel like that somebody's watching. It gives you that like little bit of extra like jolts of like, okay, this is a performance, not just playing for the
exactly. And it's nice because it's a very like, kind of comfortable, welcoming space. We have a lot of people that watched us throughout the quarantine, and they really like feel like just good friends of ours at this point, you know, like we recognize all those names that come in. So it's cool to see those names that have been like kind of sticking with us through the quarantine period. It feels fun. And it also is like a fresh perspective to say, hey, here's a new track we're going to do on this tour. What do you think? Or sometimes we'll say, we're working on a set list. What should we play? What makes the cut and what doesn't make the cut?
Yeah. Sometimes the Twitch people get the little you know, the ins on things. They get little secrets that nobody else might know immediately. So that's also
little secrets.
Yeah,
that's a whole different segment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically you don't really turn it off all the time. So of course you're going to talk about some random stuff you probably don't necessarily need to say on camera. So yeah,
you know, kind of gives, and I think it also gives people like an inside look as to what we're doing when we're not on the road. You know, because normally when these people see us, it's always at a show. So they kind of get the chance to see us when we're just at our home environment and working, not trying to really perform.
Yeah, well, whenever you guys do your next Twitch stream, we'll definitely pop in because that's I had apparently our research team was fired, which is just the two of us because I had no idea you guys did that.
Cool.
And I love watching fans do that shit. That's awesome, guys. And like and your community is strong. Like people, like I said, know a lot of stuff about you. So that's must be flattering and a little bit interesting in a way. Were you guys always trying to be musicians, the three of you? Was this always something that you thought you were going to be doing throughout your life, or is this just happenstance?
Me personally, yeah. I always had it as my. It's always been my ultimate goal is just to be a touring musician. You know, for my whole life. My dad is a musician, and he's still out and touring. He's a bass player actually, and so I'm kind of following in his steps in a way, but also making my own journey. It's just something that I knew I was, you know, since I was really little, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be on stage and play guitar, play an instrument, do whatever, and perform for people.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to play. I think going to school for music and stuff for a while was like trying to figure out what my place in the music industry was going to be. I studied music business, so for a while I thought I'd just be working for like a label or something like that. So it's nice to be out playing though, because I don't really like sitting behind a desk that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the goal was always to play, and you know, being in a band like this, I don't think anyone finds themselves here like on accident. Like you kind of have to be not a psychopath, but someone who is a little bit maybe kind of a zealot about it, you know, like I'm gonna make this work. Because it's like it's not easy, you know, it takes a lot, and I think you got to be willing to really put everything you have into it. So I think that's something that we have in common, us three, is like it was always the goal, and we kind of go hard for it when we can. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, great answer. And that's the thing. It's like some people out there always expect that something's just going to come to them one day. And
yeah. And I mean, we talked to someone, I can't remember who it was, but there was like a comment like, you know, they were asking us like, man, do you just want to bail? Like, you know, wouldn't it be easier to stay home and like hang with your friends? I'm like, yeah, dude, it would be easier to do that, but that's like, it's not what I'm trying to do. You know, it's like being in a band, sometimes it's not easy, man. You got to go to the gig, you got to load out, and maybe 5 people are going to show up. But that's like part of the deal.
Got to sleep at a homeless shelter.
Everybody wants to play the sold out gig where they're being taken care of. Nobody wants to play the show to you know 0 people, but that's what you got to do. It's cutting your teeth, man.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I have one last question from the interwebs, and then I'll stop asking questions from the internet. And that is, you guys are self-proclaimed nerds, is what it says in your it's not your Spotify bio. So I'm just using that. So don't cheat the messenger. We're asking about your favorite sci-fi movies. You guys
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah. D&D.
I sound like the biggest boomer right now.
All right, dude. Hey, now's a good time to get into it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is now out on all platforms. That is just the
Realistically,
gateway
that's
drug.
what Tom and I are about to hit later tonight. We've got
Dude,
an
my
evil
brother just
campaign.
called me up, Zach. He said
Oh,
he's asking
yeah.
if you're trying to get in. You know, we're gonna maybe throw down on that quest. Get
Yeah,
questing.
don't mind us in the middle of the podcast scheduling our gaming session. So
You guys want in? We'll get you in.
What do you think is your guys' favorite like sci-fi or something that you guys can all agree on is like your favorite piece of like media, movies, literature, anything that you guys kind of all resonate on? I mean,
Dude, I'm sure we all have
I've heard
different ones.
great things about it.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I look at things that become a source of inspiration for like the music, and one of those things has been Mobius's artwork. He did a lot of comics kind of back for like Heavy Metal magazine, and he has some really sick series like The Legend of Arzak is one, which is this character he's created. And there's a whole story without any like words. Like he just like draws the panels and you follow this character and it's like a silent comic, I guess is what that would be. And it's just so cool. And his art has such a sense of like scale to it where it feels vast, but the colors are all kind of like, I don't know what you'd call them, pastels. They're like simple, but it just makes it feel vast and the planets feel like alien. And it's just, I don't know, something about that like kind of 70s heavy metal magazine aesthetic is like, dude, just makes you want to write some like psyche riffs, you know?
yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I grew up just, my dad showed me Star Wars. So that's like, and we're the perfect age where the prequel trilogies came out and we don't hate them like everyone else that hated them when they came out because
Dude.
we were kids, but they stand up.
Pod Racer is so
Amazing.
sick.
But like
Pod-
as that grew, I just like, I looked for all sorts of sci-fi movies. Like I love that just any and all Alien. Like I'll watch all four of those movies, even though the fourth gets a little out there sometimes. There's like I've been reading like through the Dune series recently, or all of The Dark Tower by Stephen King.
Dude, Dark Tower's so sick.
I feel like we're just absorbing as much as we can at all times for any source of inspiration. Then plenty of video games peppered in there, as well as our D&D sessions, which I think some of the
Magic
D&D
Gathering too, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Yes.
Gotta play some Magic. It's been a minute.
So I like a lot of like what the Zach just said, like those alien movies, freaking love them. At least the first couple, I don't know if I could sit through all four.
We'll talk about this later, Sebastian.
Okay. Just like anybody else, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, Magic the Gathering is the one that's for me that I've been playing a lot. I've been playing that pretty much.
You've been going hard.
Today.
You've been going hard, Beth. Here's a question I want to pose to the room. For anyone who's familiar with Magic the Gathering, we've seen lately that old Post Malone, Posty, he's out there throwing down hard.
Dude, he's great.
He's throwing down for Wizards of the Coast. He's playing Magic. Do we think is he legit? Like, I know he has fun doing it. Is he legit?
He is absolutely super legit. He is 100% into Magic.
I mean, I know he's into Magic. Is he like good? Like,
Here's
I know
the thing,
he's stoked
Seabass,
about it.
could you kick his ass? That's the question.
I don't know about that. I've seen a couple videos of him playing, and granted, he's on like a YouTube show where they probably have some pre-made stuff, but no, he has some pretty good decks, so he's legit. Yeah,
he's got the budget to make a deck worth more than your
like $1 million.
Oh yeah,
Magic. Like there's the one card I spent like $1 million on.
That is the One Ring. That is a one of one card that Wizards of the Coast made. The One Ring to rule them all, and whatever it is, like it was like a special art.
Yeah. It was a special edition of that card because there is a card called the One Ring that, like, not everybody, but like it's common among people. But there was a special art edition that
There's only
Only
one of
one
them.
was released, and it went for like $2 million or something.
To
He
Post
got it.
Malone. He bought it for
Yeah.
2 mil, I think. Someone found it, opened it up, they got it graded, and it was like, what is the rating? It was like
I think it was a
9.9 out
PSA
of 10 or
9
something like that. It
something.
was like
Yeah.
super high rating in the card world. And Posty came up with that $2 million bill hot off the press.
Yep.
He really needs to make a rock album because he's got such a great fucking voice and he just seems like such a cool dude in general. Like,
Yeah, man.
those covers he was doing, man, like those like Nirvana covers, and
yeah,
dude, you watch him like shredding like Cliffs of Dover on guitar, and you're like, dude, you're not a slouch, man. Like, that's hard as hell. He's good.
he just does what he wants to do too. He doesn't care. Like, it's so awesome. Yeah, I'm not into a lot of his other music, but he's truly a musician, and also like he just like cares about people and he likes having fun and he's into weird things and he's unapologetic about it, which it's all
Exactly.
right.
Yes, sir.
He should sell a hot sauce at his merch table.
Yeah, man.
We'll make it for him.
Sell Post Malone's hot sauce at your merch table. There you go.
That's true.
Okay.
All right, guys. I have one last question I ask to everybody on this show. How do you guys deal with what is known as imposter syndrome? How do you deal with when you start comparing yourselves to somebody else, or when you think you're not good enough, or just like, fuck, I should stop, or I'm not doing this the right way? Like, how do you keep it going?
You got one? Otherwise, I know what I would say for me.
Go ahead.
All three of you.
I feel like early on, it was a very conscious choice to make, to decide that it is like not important. Don't compare. It's not a contest. Learn to like celebrate other people doing awesome shit.
Yeah.
And what can you do, and how can you find like what's cool in what they're doing, and how can you be influenced by it? So especially this genre, one of the reasons why I'm drawn to it, the stoner, doom, psych, is that I think the fan base is really open to like anyone, like all skill levels, just people being creative. It's a good space to be a creative. So I think it took like early on deciding like that it was not a contest, and being diligent about reminding yourself of that, but you have to like choose to adapt to that kind of ideology,
Right.
Yeah.
We are very lucky in this community where you're not if you're going on a tour, you're not stealing other people's fans. You're gaining, fans. They can remain a fan of that other band. We are just so lucky to be in this stoner doom world.
The prog world is way different, I feel. Like in the early days, if like it's like Dream Theater, or you're compared to Dream Theater, that's like the prog rock scene,
Discovery is a big part of this scene, which is great. Somebody's stoked to share the new band that they found with their buddy.
And I think separately from this scene, just being based in Nashville, where there's so many musicians and so many of them are just incredible, you'll really get down on yourself if you start comparing yourself to other people. There is no way that you can do that. So in order to find your own sound and your own style, you just got to accept that, like, hey, they might be a better musician. So what? I'm going to go up there and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to do what I do best.
That's right. And we write sick riffs, and we're the best band in the world, So that's easy.
Well, that's
easy
true.
For us.
Yeah.
That helps.
Not to compare or anything, but
we are the best band in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you're comparing yourselves to other people, you don't want to make them feel bad.
That's right, dude. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Hey, this is your guys' chance. Any last words for the audience, people who've made it this long into the interview? What would you like to say to them? What do they need to know? Touring, your brand new album, Glass Future, and anything else you guys got going on.
You should listen to Glass Future, and you should show it to one friend. I'm sure there's other important stuff we should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. On tour March and April. All the dates are on all of our social media, as well as Gozu and the Obsessed. Keep an eye on all of our social media. We'll update future tour dates. There will be way more coming down the pipe this year. We'll also announce when we're going to stream on all of that good stuff. Hopefully, likely February. And we're working on some new music, but that won't be out for a long time. So.
And as far as for a final word from me, it's this words of wisdom. When in doubt, dab it out.
Ooh.
Oh, geez, he leaves you hanging on a dab, just like
Wow.
that.
Hey, well, we're very excited to see you all here in Brooklyn. And by the way, if you guys, it's a side note off the podcast there. If you guys ever need a place to crash, we could sleep 5 people here easily.
Amazing.
Play some D&D. Get a one-off quest going.
Yeah, but we cannot wait to see you out here. Michael seen you before, but yeah, it'd be my first time. But dude, thank you guys so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you guys were fucking awesome, and the album is sick. I love seeing every aspect of what you were doing. It was really cool to do a deep dive on your guys' whole social media, as well as just like you guys seem like genuinely awesome, chill ass dudes, and I love that. So
Excellent.
fucking rocking. How about that?
Yeah.
We got Michael over here. He probably wants to say hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, he's gone now. That was enough of him.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great evening. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you. Cheers.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Hey, for the love of God, please subscribe to our Patreon for like $1 a month. That would help out a lot. Podcasts are, fun fact, really expensive to run, and I really enjoy doing this. So if you want to keep on seeing stuff like this, help me out. Also, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I really hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.